What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing the Detroit Lions 16-man practice squad. Let's get it started.
I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, guys don't know, DoseOfDion, he put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. Today we are breaking down this Lions practice squad. Yesterday the Lions made their final cuts to get down to their final roster, and today, starting at 1 p.m., the Lions made their practice squad. Okay, they made up that practice squad. Now, unfortunately, Jason Huntley is not a part of it. He was claimed by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, for the most part, I think a lot of these are things that we've expected, and there's also a couple names that aren't on here that maybe you did expect to be here. So I think we should break this down, kind of run through it. Now, the practice squad is different this year. It looks much different this year. The practice squad is always super important for young guys to develop, things like that. But this year is much different. You can have 6 veterans on your practice squad, 16 players this season. Your team can't just grab someone from your practice squad and put them on their practice squad. If you want to take someone from someone else's practice squad, you have to activate them to your active roster. So that's a huge difference. You can also protect 4 players by week. So that's big as well, because you can protect players that no one else can go out and sign. So there's a lot of different things going on here with the practice squad this season. So it's super important to have players that you can bring up if you need them. And that's what the Lions continue to do here. So we're going to run through some of these names, some names that aren't on this list that maybe I expected to be here. So let's just hop right into it. The first player we have is Bo Benshaw, the backup center. Now, Bo Benshaw has been here for a year. He was an undrafted free agent that we picked up, and the Lions have stuck with him. The Lions have stuck with him. They're giving him opportunities. They're letting him develop as a player, and they must see him in their future as a potential guy that could give us a little bit of a role. The Lions went kind of light on the offensive line because they had to make room for other positions like wide receiver and cornerback, places where they kept a lot of players, 6 wide receivers, 7 cornerbacks. So they had to go light at some other positions. So for offensive line, we only have 3 depth guys, which isn't super light. Sometimes you go with 9, but the Lions only have 3 depth guys. So if anything does happen, Bo Benshaw is sure a guy that you can bring up for a week, put him on the roster, and he can help out in the interior, give you some extra help and depth. Next up, David Blough, definitely one I was expecting. I was definitely expecting David Blough to be a guy the Lions try to put on the practice squad. Our third-string quarterback, the Lions only have 2 on their active roster, but with all the COVID and how last year went, they're definitely going to want to have 3 quarterbacks if they need it. And Blough is that guy. I expect the Lions to protect Blough a lot. I think for a lot of weeks we're going to see this guy protected just to make sure you have that third quarterback and no one else can take him. Unless there's someone else the Lions may be interested in to try to bring in. But I think David Blough is the guy they really do truly believe in. Victor Bolden is up next, a wide receiver that I felt like had a pretty good camp. Victor Bolden shined a little bit, just no room for him on an active roster, but here he is on the practice squad. But what's interesting about that is there is no Chris Lacey. I don't know if he ended up with anybody else. I don't think he did, but Victor Bolden is here, so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool for Victor Bolden. This is a guy that was working out with Matthew Stafford in the offseason, putting in work when everything else was kind of shut down. So shout out to Victor Bolden, man. I think he definitely earned that. Jalen Elliott, another undrafted free agent. Jalen Elliott, who has some nice size, a safety that was a leader in college back out of Notre Dame, and he's here on the practice squad, so that's really cool. We only got 1 player on the active roster that was an undrafted free agent this year, but Jalen Elliott makes the practice squad, so that's what's up. Frank Heron, a defensive lineman that's 6'4", 305 pounds, has some versatility. He's a young guy, played in a couple of games as a reserve role last year, but he has a nice little versatility. He's another very young player that the Lions can continue to groom, and potentially he could play a little bit of a bigger role down the road, and he's a guy that could add some depth with guys like John Pennicini, who is currently on the active roster. Another wide receiver, Tom Kennedy. Tom Kennedy seems to have a solid camp all the time. This guy in the offseason always seems to do well. It's just never enough to really put him on the active roster. And the problem is the Lions, like this season, have so much talent there. There's really never any room for him. But they're able to keep him on the practice squad here. Tom Kennedy, another guy in a pinch you can go to, and you can rely upon him to be a solid player for you. It's not someone that's going to be a huge drop-off. I mean, sure, he's not Kenny Galladay, but hey, it's something, okay? He can get the job done. Isaac Nauta, another player I expect to be protected a lot, and I expect Isaac Nauta to actually potentially week 1 be moved up to the roster for the Detroit Lions, get some playing time, and it could be like that for the first couple weeks if the Lions do place Hunter Bryant on IR. Isaac Nauta is one of those guys that I expected to make the active roster, and when he didn't, I was kind of shocked, but I think he's going to play a lot on the roster this season. He's going to get a lot of opportunities off the practice squad because of Hunter Bryant's injury. The Lions wanted to keep Hunter Bryant, didn't want to risk him, falling off and getting claimed by another team like Jason Huntley, and with Isaac Nauta, they were probably more confident that he would be able to get back with the Lions, and he did, which is awesome. I expect them to protect him a lot. I like Isaac Nauta. He has a high ceiling. The dude can catch. He's a great red zone target. So shout out to Isaac Nauta. Anthony Pittman, a guy that we released. This is one of our early releases yesterday. Anthony Pittman, a depth linebacker. Bobby Price, another undrafted free agent. So Jalen Elliott and Bobby Price. Bobby Price has that great size, and I think that alone just makes you interested, okay? Forget what he does on the field. The dude is huge. But seriously, he's a great in run support. He can cover man-to-man. Bobby Price, Norfolk State, has the incredible size, incredible athleticism for his size. So Bobby Price, another undrafted free agent here. It's just really cool to see. Aaron Sipas, the punter. The Lions kept a specialist. So they have Jack Fox on the roster, but they kept Aaron Sipas on the practice squad. We'll see how that goes. But there you go. You have two punters, which is interesting. Kenny Wiggins, I get this one. I feel like Kenny Wiggins kind of, if you could bring him back, you kind of had to, because Kenny Wiggins, I like Wiggins for depth. I like him for depth. Like, sure, I don't want him as a starter. I like him for depth, though, so I like this. I mean, I could see someone else trying to claim him if he's not protected, but I do like him here. Kenny Wiggins is nice, especially in a pinch if you need to. But there is no Ode Abushi, which is something to keep an eye on. I wasn't sure if Ode would get here. I would take Wiggins over Abushi, so Abushi is not here currently. D. Virgin, he's great on special teams. He was the one cut that we did make at that cornerback position. You just had to make one. You had to make one. We kept 7 corners last season. We had 8. Someone had to get cut. You brought in Roberts. You brought in McRae. You had Michael Ford. Someone had to get cut, and unfortunately it was D. Virgin, but he did end up back on the practice squad, and I can see this is a guy that's someone that moves up and down during the season as well. Jonathan Williams, the running back, who did pretty darn well for the Detroit Lions. Jonathan Williams, when he came in, I didn't know how much of an opportunity he was really going to get, and he seemed to do pretty well during training camp. One of the biggest things was he didn't get hurt. He was healthy. He's shown flashes back in the NFL with Indianapolis. He's a very tough runner. I mean, he just never stops his legs. His legs are always driving, always moving, always pushing. And Williams, if injuries do strike, it's a guy that I can safely say that, okay, this guy can get the job done if we need to put him in. Steven Wertel, a long snapper. A long snapper makes the practice squad. So with some extra spots, the Lions keep 2 specialists, Aaron Sipas and Steven Wertel. That's really good news for Steven Wertel. They must have really liked him. I know a lot of people thought that Wertel could actually take that job this year. A little bit concerned about Don Muhlbach at his age. He's getting older. Wertel could be the future at long snapper for the Lions. They may have found it. Jonathan Wynn, a defensive end, another young player that the Lions are going to continue to try to develop into being somewhat of a piece on that defensive end and in the scheme for the Detroit Lions. I think he fits the scheme very well. He just has a lot of room to grow and a lot of development that needs to take place. And finally, Kevin Strong. Kevin Strong, a guy that I can see protected a lot as well. I feel like Kevin Strong is a really nice player, and it was really him and Penasini. I mean, that was tough, but Kevin Strong, another guy that can move across the defensive line, another former undrafted free agent. Strong has really pushed through a lot of tough things. Strong has been very inspiring so far with the Detroit Lions, so I'm glad that he is back on the practice squad. So like I look at these 16, I don't think there's any too big surprise here. Maybe a couple players that you thought would be here, but I think for the most part, the Lions, are going to try to protect guys like David Blough, Kevin Strong. I think those 2 guys are going to be protected. Unfortunately, Jason Huntley is not here. That stinks. Isaac Nauta is another guy that I think is going to have a pretty big role at the practice squad. I think a lot of these guys, man, are reliable, and then you also see a lot of undrafted free agents, which is great news because the Lions took a chance. They took the opportunity to go bring them in, and they're still here. So they saw things that they did like, and that's really cool. That is really cool for them on its own. So let me know what your thoughts are. What are you guys' thoughts on the 16-man practice squad? Thank you, Pat, for watching, and I'm out. Look at all these cool people. Look at all these cool Hall of Fame, All-Pro, and patrons. You guys are so awesome. Look how interesting. That's an interesting name. I've never seen one like that. I'm not saying that one out loud. We got some cool stuff here, man. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys want to be part of this? Click the join button. I appreciate you guys. Look, man, you guys are cool, man. I see you. Oh, I see you're not sneak. I see you down there, my boy.